The Season 1 trailer for Wednesday Addams has reached 29 million views. The Season 2 trailer has reached 10 million views. Wednesday Addams has become a core part of Netflix's portfolio, ranking alongside popular shows such as Stranger Things, Bridgerton, and Squid Game. Wednesday is part of a corporation that earned $3.1 billion in net profit in the second quarter of 2025. But how does it make sense that the Addams Family, originally created as the antithesis of the typical American model family, has become so commercialized that it's now a mainstream product? Has Wednesday retained her rebellious edge, or has she become what she once mocked? In this video, we explore the question of whether Wednesday Addams has lost her anti-ethical power or if she has adapted it. I would like to note that this video is not intended to criticize the series itself, but rather to encourage conscious engagement with media. I also enjoyed the Wednesday series from Netflix, and yet it doesn't hurt to make us aware of how certain content works and why it has a certain effect on us. Before we discuss Wednesday and her family, we first need to understand what counterculture means. In cultural studies, it refers to movements, groups, or aesthetics that actively reject or subvert dominant societal norms, values, and aesthetics. Therefore, counterculture can take many forms, such as the hippie movement of the 1960s, punk, digital, or environmental activism. In the media, counterculture primarily signifies the subversion of existing norms and ideals. The goal is to dismantle idealized notions and present alternative values and ways of life. Stylistic devices such as satire, parody, or irony are often used to make counterculture more accessible and simultaneously highlight the absurdity of a single ideal. The most common taste is to be confronted with new styles, attitudes, and humor. However, it's not just about being different to attract attention, as is a popular marketing strategy on social media today. Ideally, this confrontation will lead to an examination of one's own values and reflection on the status quo. In the case of the Addams Family, created in the 1930s by cartoonist Charles Addams, the Addams Family was intended as an alternative to the typical portrayal of an American family at the time. They are morbid, extravagant, and nonconformist. Their interests and hobbies lie in areas that society finds disturbing or simply unacceptable. For example, they have a pronounced fondness for cemeteries, dig graves for fun, and keep torture devices as toys in their children's rooms. Watching this family live their lives is unique and fascinating, but they are clearly a satire of the American dream, suburban conformity, and the idea that happiness must look a certain way. Because let's be honest here, the idea of the Addams Family living in an affluent American suburb is eyebrow-raising. The Addams Family doesn't fit into this picture, nor are they supposed to. As a stark antithesis to the picture-perfect American lifestyle, the Addams Family challenges us to consider what would happen if we weren't part of that lifestyle. You would be marginalized, your children might be bullied, and you would have no social circle outside your family. But the Addams are above mistrust, suspicion, and hostility. They welcome everyone who comes to their door with open arms. They are often more social and ultimately more human than people who consider themselves normal and socially adjusted. This is also a function of counterculture. It means welcoming diversity and first and foremost embracing humanity in oneself and in society. But what happens when this message is commercialized? The American Marketing Association defines a brand as any distinctive feature like a name, term, design, or symbol that identifies goods or services. The emphasis here is on identifies. Identification is the primary function of a brand. Branding should enable us to identify with a product. It should become part of our lifestyle, our vibe, and essentially our identity. From a social perspective, we also want to signal who we are and how we should be classified. Incidentally, this definition applies not only to physical products, but also to services and digital goods, including series, films, and games. What we are, what we consume, which is why we can look at Wednesday as a brand. So if we assume that Wednesday is a brand, what does it say about us? To understand this, we should examine why people watch the series. As previously mentioned, consuming a brand is associated with identification. One factor could be nostalgia. Some people may have grown up with the films of the Addams Family universe and be curious to see how the family is adapted in the new version. Netflix is actively promoting its collaboration with Tim Burton, whose work on The Nightmare Before Christmas and Corpse Bride has left a lasting impression on Gen Z. However, this seems rather incidental to me. I believe it is primarily the aesthetics and concept of Wednesday herself that have won over many people, especially young viewers. Social media has greatly changed the way we live together as a society. Before the internet, people had to get along with those in their immediate environment. Now communities can form and exchange ideas via Reddit, TikTok, and Instagram, or any other platform. But the rise of social media also led to another development. Being different is rewarded. Being different means getting attention, and attention is the currency of social media. Attention gets us more clicks, likes, and ultimately money. We have essentially monetized our digital identity. At this point, I could ask for a like and that you subscribe to my channel, but I'd rather not. But what does this have to do with Wednesday? Wednesday was released under the best circumstances. The Wednesday series from Netflix has become a massive hit. Many young people are enthusiastic about this new take on the Addams Family, and there has been a tremendous uproar on social media. Countless posts about Wednesday have been created. Her style, makeup, and attitude were celebrated and imitated. Wednesday was thus elevated to an idol for Gen Z because she constantly defied authority figures like Principal Weems, her mother Morticia, and Sheriff Galpin. This is particularly significant when considering when Wednesday was released. It was in the middle of the pandemic, and young people are still suffering from its consequences today. Young people were unable to meet in person. Events and parties were prohibited. These decisions were made by people significantly older than Gen Z. A character like Wednesday can easily appeal to the desire to rebel and question the system, even if it's just a little bit. Additionally, Season 1 of Wednesday depicts school life characterized by absurdity, mysticism, and adventure. During the pandemic, we were confined to our rooms, and the only adventures we could experience were through stories. So I'm not surprised that Wednesday resonated so strongly with young people. She's no longer an outsider. Her popularity has led to her being accepted, copied, and adapted by the masses. Rather than being subversive, she has become part of the mainstream. However, she still carries an element of counterculture as she moves with the times, commenting on and counteracting and ironizing current societal developments. She primarily addresses issues such as equality, dependence on technology, and the responsibility of older generations toward younger ones. I will leave it at that because a discussion of these topics alone would be enough for a whole video. But back to Wednesday. Wednesday's personality is challenging, to put it mildly. Her apparent lack of emotion and her desire to protect her friends, classmates, and other outcasts from danger seem to contradict each other. I would say that Wednesday is definitely capable of having feelings. Otherwise, the emotional turmoil with Xavier and Tyler would have been pointless. I think Wednesday just finds it difficult to express herself and sometimes comes across as cold and mean. Ultimately, though, she's just an awkward teenager who, in addition to murder investigations, also has to deal with hormone fluctuations and emotional drama. And when it doesn't affect Wednesday herself, she gets to experience the rest through her friend Enid. Wednesday's awkwardness is extremely relatable for many young people, especially when you feel like you don't fit in. The series celebrates individuality, and as I mentioned in the section on social media, it is highly rewarded. Now I've touched on a lot of points, but I still haven't answered the question from the beginning of this chapter. What kind of brand is Netflix's Wednesday series? The series combines individuality, zeitgeist, and social discourse. Individuality through the outcasts, zeitgeist through social media, social discourse through Wednesday's commentary. And yet, it's a balancing act. Is it still counterculture if I incorporate current relevant topics into the series and only need a Wednesday to make snarky comments about them? At what point does counterculture lose its effectiveness when large groups of people emulate the protagonist and bring her into the mainstream? To what extent can we talk about counterculture when a billion-dollar corporation uses it to make even more money? There are no easy answers to these questions, but what we do know is that since their creation in the 1930s, the Addams Family has always been an entertainment product. And they still are today, and through their media representation, they have contributed to subcultures being much more accepted today than they were almost 100 years ago. While the Wednesday series may have helped Netflix achieve commercial success, ultimately it is up to viewers to decide how to perceive and translate the series' messages into reality. That's why I'm interested in your opinion. How would you evaluate Wednesday and the series? Do you still consider it counterculture, or is it mainstream? Please write your thoughts in the comments. I would love to hear your perspective.